My mother-in-law accused me of having a baby because my newborn son is ugly. I'm 28 and married to Mike, who is 30. We've been together for 3 years. We recently welcomed our first child, a boy. We named him James. What should have been a happy occasion for my husband and me turned into a nightmare because of my mother-in-law, Linda. She is 55. Linda has never liked me. When Mike first introduced me to his parents, Linda made it clear right away that I was no match for her son. I am from a working class background, while Mike's family is wealthy. Linda constantly made mean comments about my work as a nurse, saying that Mike deserved better than me, who changes bedpans. But Mike and I love each other and got married anyway. Mike and I met at a charity event. He was there with friends, and I was volunteering as part of my training program. We liked each other right away because we both loved helping people. Mike was different from other guys I'd met. He was kind and didn't care that I didn't come from a wealthy family. He liked that I worked hard to become a nurse. Our relationship developed quickly. Within a year, we were talking about marriage. That's when I met Linda. Mike warned me that his mother could be difficult, but I wasn't prepared for how mean she would be. When I first came to their house, Linda looked at me like I was dirt. She barely shook my hand and gave a tight smile. Over dinner, she peppered me with questions about my family, work, and plans. With each answer, she grew more and more gloomy. After dinner, I overheard her telling Mike that he could find a better girlfriend. She mentioned her daughter to her friend, who was studying to be a lawyer. Mike stood up for me, but I knew it would be a problem. Despite Linda's displeasure, Mike and I got engaged a few months later. Linda was horrified. She tried to talk Mike into postponing the wedding, claiming we were too young. When that didn't work, she tried to throw him a huge, expensive wedding we couldn't afford. Mike refused, and we had the small wedding we dreamed of. Linda was angry the whole time. She even gave a wedding speech in which she said she hoped I would rise to their level by becoming part of their family. It was humiliating, but Mike and I tried not to let her ruin our day. After the wedding, Linda continued to cause trouble. She tried to set Mike up with other women, even though we were married. She said Mike was degrading himself by choosing me and that our children would be ordinary because of my family. Mike always defended me, and that made Linda hate me even more. She would show up at our place unannounced, criticizing everything, the furniture, the food, everything. One time, she even brought a girl she'd supposedly met by chance to introduce her to Mike. Mike was so angry he didn't speak to his mother for weeks. Despite all of Linda's anger, Mike and I were happy. I became the head nurse at the hospital. Mike was also doing well at work. We wanted a baby, but decided to wait until we were ready. When we announced I was pregnant, Linda wasn't happy. She only said she hoped the baby would be like their family. She went with me to all my doctor's appointments, even though we asked not to be disturbed. She questioned everything, from my choice of doctor to the vitamins I was taking. The closer we got to the birth, the worse she became. She wanted me to stay with her for the last month of my pregnancy, claiming she didn't trust Mike to take care of me. I refused, and we had a huge fight. The birth was difficult for me. My contractions lasted 36 hours, but Mike was by my side the whole time. When James was born, we were overjoyed. He had a lot of dark hair, like Mike. We stayed in the hospital for 2 days. I was tired, but happy. Mike called our families to say we would be coming home soon. Linda said she was coming to help, even though we said we wanted to be alone with the baby. When Mike brought us home, we were in shock. All my things were thrown out on the lawn. My clothes, books, and nurse's uniform were strewn about in full view of the neighbors. Linda stood in the doorway, smirking smugly. I was speechless with horror. Mike was angry. He told me to stay in the car with James while he dealt with Linda. As he approached the house, Linda screamed, "How dare you come back, you chitter!" She yelled, "I always knew you weren't worthy of Mike, and now I have proof." Mike was confused. "What are you talking about?" he asked angrily. Linda pointed at James in the car. "This child isn't yours. Our family has never produced such ugly children. You cheated on my son, and now you want to tie him down with another man's child." I couldn't believe my ears. Mike tried to explain, but Linda wouldn't listen. She kept saying I was worthless and that she was protecting her son from a chitter. I got out of the car with James in my arms, crying and begging Linda to stop, but she kept yelling nasty things. Mike had enough. He told Linda to get out of our house. She refused, claiming she was there to help her son and grandson, forgetting that she had just denied that James was Mike's child. Then Mike came into the house, took out her suitcase, and said, "You need to leave. You're no longer welcome here." Linda thought Mike would side with her, but he didn't. "Mum, you need to leave," he said firmly. "What you did is unforgivable." Linda realized she had lost. She took the suitcase and left, screaming that she would come back to save Mike and James from me. After she left, Mike and I carried James into the house and put him in his crib. Then we discussed what had happened. Mike was very angry with his mother. He couldn't believe she'd accused me of cheating on him and tried to kick me out of my own house. We spent hours moving my things back into the house and cleaning. Mike's phone was blowing up with calls and messages from Linda and other relatives. Linda had already told everyone her lies about my infidelity. That night, after James fell asleep, Mike and I decided what to do next. We agreed that Linda would no longer come to our house or see James at all until she apologized and proved she could behave normally. Mike said he wouldn't talk to his mother for a while. The next day, I called my parents and told them what had happened. They were furious and offered to come stay with us to help. We agreed. A week has passed since all this happened, and the situation is still difficult. Linda continues to call and text. She alternately apologizes and then blames me again. Mike's father is trying to broker a peace, but Mike's family mainly thinks we're being too harsh on Clint. They say she was simply trying to protect her son and ask us to forgive her for the sake of the family. But others understand why we're angry and support our decision to stay away from Linda until she learns to behave civilly. I'm sorry, Mike. This should have been a happy time with our newborn son, and instead he's forced to deal with family drama and an inadequate mother. I'm trying to support him and take care of James, but I can see how much this is bothering him. I'm angry too, and it hurts me. I've always tried to be a good wife to Mike, and now I'm a good mother to James as well. The fact that Linda attacked me like this and is trying to destroy my family beyond my comprehension is very difficult for both of us. I'm simultaneously dealing with the emotions of having a baby and all this madness with my mother-in-law. Mike is trying to be strong for James and me, but I can tell he's tired and at his wit's end. We're not sleeping well, and it's not just the baby. Mike has considered suing Linda for a restraining order, but he's worried about his family's reaction. We don't want to make things worse. We've even discussed moving to another city to get away from this drama, but we love our jobs and our home, and it's unfair to change our entire lives because of Linda's behavior. Mike tried to talk to his father, hoping he could talk some sense into Linda, but his father didn't want to get involved. I think he's used to Linda always having her own way and doesn't want to confront her for the sake of maintaining the peace. I've always believed that family is important, but now I'm not so sure. Is it worth staying in a relationship with someone who can be so cruel, even if it's your mother-in-law? Mike and I talked about going to couples therapy to help us deal with this. We know we need to stick together, but it's hard when we're both so tired and depressed. Plus, with a baby, it's hard to find time for counseling. A week ago, things got even worse when Linda showed up at Mike's office. She caused a scene, crying and telling everyone that Mike was allegedly depriving her of her grandson. Mike's colleagues were shocked and his boss was displeased with the uproar. Mike had to explain the situation to his boss, and it was humiliating and difficult. Then Linda started calling my work. She told my colleagues that I was a bad mother and that I supposedly had a child with another man. My boss was understanding, but it was humiliating for me, and I was afraid it would affect my work. Then Mike's sister, Emma, 27, got involved. At first, she sided with Linda, believing her lie about my infidelity. She called Mike and said horrible things, accusing him of choosing me over his real family. Mike was very upset because he and Emma had always been close. But then something unexpected happened. One day, Emma came to our house when Mike was out. She said she wanted to see the baby for herself. I was nervous, but I let her in. As soon as she saw James, her attitude immediately changed. She realized how much he resembled Mike and realized that LYN had been waiting. Emma apologized to me and promised to talk to the rest of the family. She became our biggest advocate, taking our side over Linda and her family. This caused a huge fight in Mike's family. People were divided. Linda didn't like that Emma was now on our side, and she started spreading rumors that Emma was jealous because she herself was single and childless. This was very painful for Emma. Things got even crazier when Linda hired a private investigator to follow me. She was convinced that if I cheated once, I would keep cheating. This private investigator followed me to work, to the store, even to doctor's appointments. This made me feel intimidated and humiliated. When Mike found out about this, he was furious. He talked to Linda and threatened to sue and get a restraining order if she didn't stop. Linda burst into tears and said she was just trying to protect her son, but Mike no longer believed her. The final straw was when Linda tried to sue us. She contacted a lawyer and wanted legal rights to see James. Luckily, the lawyer told her she had no chance, especially since James was still so young she had never even seen him. All this stress began to take a serious toll on my health. I began having trouble lactating and was rapidly losing weight. The doctor became concerned that I might be developing postpartum depression. Mike insisted that I take time off from work and recover. Mike's father finally realized how serious the situation was. He came to our home and apologized for not intervening sooner. He promised to sort things out with Linda and support our decision to keep her away from our family. Now, 3 months have passed since James was born, and things are finally starting to calm down. Linda calls and writes much less often. Most of Mike's family understands our position. Emma visits us regularly and has become a wonderful aunt for James. Well, I did the wrong thing by supporting Mike, kicking his mother out and not allowing her to see her grandson. Well, before we continue, I suggest you write your opinion in the comments right now. Answer the author's question. I think she did absolutely the right thing and, in general, I have nothing more to add. Absolutely inappropriate behavior of the mother-in-law. Let's find out what happened next. Update 1. It's been 6 months since my first post, and so much has happened in that time. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It's been a long period of emotional swings, and I'm very grateful to this community. Here's what happened. Linda's behavior got even worse. She started going to our neighbors and telling them lies about us. She said that we were bad parents and that they should call child protection services. Some of the neighbors believed her and started giving us dirty looks. Others would come to us and tell us what she was doing. It was humiliating and difficult. Our entire personal life was the talk of the neighborhood. One day, Linda came to our house while Mike was at work. She banged on the door and screamed for hours. I was terrified, holding James and trying to calm him down while Linda screamed outside. I called the police, but Linda left just before they arrived. The police took a report, but said there was little they could do since she was already gone. After this terrible incident, we decided to install surveillance cameras around the house. The stress began to affect Mike's work. His boss called him in for a talk, saying that Mike was kind of absent-minded and that his work was suffering. Mike had to explain everything that was going on with his mother. The boss was understanding but warned Mike that he needed to focus on work, otherwise it could affect his position in the company. This added financial pressure to the already it was a tense situation. My parents came to stay with us to help. They were great with James and gave Mike and me a chance to relax and spend some time together. But Linda was completely against it. She started spreading rumors that my parents were trying to turn Mike against his real family. She even went so far as to call my father at work and tell him he was an alcoholic and shouldn't be around children. This was a lie, of course, but my father had to answer questions from his boss, and it was humiliating for him. Things got even worse when Mike's cousin Emmy was getting married. We weren't invited to the wedding because Linda told the whole family that we didn't want to be involved in family matters. She claimed that we thought we were better than others just because we had a child. Mike was very hurt. He and Emmy had been close growing up, and he was looking forward to her wedding. Emma, Mike's sister, tried to defend us at the wedding. She told everyone the truth about what Linda had done, how she'd accused me of cheating on her and tried to kick me out of my own house. This caused a huge scandal at the reception. Some relatives sided with us, saying Linda had gone too far, but others still believed her lies and accused Emma of betraying the family. The argument escalated so much that the bride, Emmy, burst into tears. Her new husband became angry and kicked everyone out of the reception early. Later, Emmy called Mike, crying and saying that her wedding had been ruined because of our family drama. Mike felt terrible, although it wasn't his fault at all. After the wedding nightmare, Mike's family was split in two. Some stopped communicating with us completely, blocked us on social media, and didn't answer our calls. Others, on the contrary, called, apologized, and said they believed us. Uncle Joe, Linda's brother, was especially supportive. He said he'd always known his sister was difficult, but he'd never imagined she'd go this far. Then Linda decided to try a new tactic. She started acting super petty. She sent gifts for James and apology cards. She even sent Mike and me gift certificates to fancy restaurants so we could take him on a date. We were wary at first, but deep down we hoped that maybe she'd finally realized she'd been wrong. Especially Mike, because he really wanted to believe his mum had changed. He missed having a normal relationship with her. Against our instincts, we agreed to let Linda into the house. We set strict rules. She could only come over when we were both home and never be alone with James. At first, everything seemed normal. Linda was polite to me and fawned over James. She even brought home cooked food, knowing Mike loved her pastries. But it was all an act. On the third visit, while Mike was going to the bathroom, Linda attempted to run away with James, her car already running in the driveway and James's things hidden in her purse. If my mother hadn't been home and stopped her, Linda would have succeeded in kidnapping our son. We immediately called the police, and this time Linda was arrested for attempted kidnapping. Mike was shocked to see his mother handcuffed in a police car. He burst into tears, feeling like he had failed both mother and son. Linda spent the night in jail. After this, it seemed Mike's father finally opened his eyes to the seriousness of the situation. The next day, he came to our house, tired and depressed, saying he was filing for divorce from Linda and apologizing for not trusting us earlier. He asked if he could remain a part of James's life, promising to respect our boundaries. After a long conversation, we agreed, but made it clear he couldn't share any information with Linda. Mike felt relieved. His father had finally seen the truth, but at the same time, he was devastated. Seeing his family crumble before his eyes, he started seeing a therapist to cope with his feelings. It helps him a lot, giving him tools to cope with stress and guilt. As for me, I went back to work part-time. It was hard at first, leaving James, but it turned out to be helpful to have a new focus. My colleagues were very supportive, especially when they learned of the whole Linda drama. My boss even went out of his way to change my schedule so I could be home when Mike's father visited. James, it helped me a lot. James, despite all this chaos, is doing great. He's growing quickly and becoming more and more like Mike. Sometimes it's hard to realize he won't have a relationship with his grandmother, but we know it's for the best. We do everything we can to surround him with love and positivity. During this time, Emma and I have become much closer. She often comes to visit us and gets along wonderfully with James. She has become a real rock for Mike, helping him remember the good times with his mother while also supporting his decision to stay away from Linda. Emma even openly confronted Linda when she tried to turn her against us again. Emma told Linda that she needed professional help and that she would not communicate with her until she got it. Linda didn't like that she was losing control over her daughter. She started telling people that Emma was using drugs and that was why she supported us. She even went so far as to plant drugs in Emma's car and call the police. Luckily, the police were wary of the anonymous tip and did not press charges. But the incident was a frightening and humiliating experience for her. The accusation of drug use caused problems for Emma at work. Her boss heard the rumors and, although there was no evidence, decided to fire her to avoid any potential trouble. Emma was depressed. She worked so hard to get where she is, and now she's out of a job because her mother lied to her. We offered to let Emmy stay with us while she looked for a new job, and she agreed. We love having her around. Although the house is getting a little crowded, Mike's dad is trying really hard to fix things. He offered to pay for family therapy for all of us, including Linda, if she agreed to participate. Mike and I thought about it for a long time and finally agreed to try it, but only on the condition that Linda first get help with her behavior. We had our first session last week. It was incredibly difficult. Linda cried a lot and said she just wanted her family back. She complained about how lonely she felt after her husband left her. But the therapist was stern and told Linda that she needed to take responsibility for her actions and understand the harm she had caused. Linda didn't like hearing that. She yelled at the therapist, accused him of bias, and stormed out of the session. Mike was very upset, feeling like we had taken a step back. After that disastrous session, some of Mike's aunts and uncles contacted us. They said they found out what happened and were sorry. They believed Linda's lies. They asked if they could come over and meet James. We're still thinking about it. We've been betrayed too many times. We're also discussing changing the will. We want to make sure that if something happens to us, Linda can't get custody of James. We're thinking about appointing my parents and Emma as guardians. So there you have it. In some ways, the situation has improved, but it's still difficult. Linda continues to cause problems, but we've become stronger as a couple and as a family. We're moving forward in small steps, but sometimes it feels like we're still groping in the dark. Thank you for listening and supporting us. And here's the second update. It's been 6 months since the last update and a year since my first post. Nothing much has really happened, but I still want to thank everyone for their advice and help. Here's what's going on with us right now. Mike is having problems at work. There are changes going on at his company, and they might lay off some employees. Mike might lose his job. We're really worried. We're trying to save money in case he really does lose his job, but it's difficult. We've already spent a huge amount of money on lawyers because of all the problems with Linda. Somehow, Linda found out that Mike might be having problems at work. We think one of his colleagues told her. As soon as she found out, she started calling and texting us constantly. She keeps saying she wants to help financially if Mike loses his job. We realize this is just her way of getting back into our lives, so we don't respond to her messages. Then Linda started coming to Mike's work. She kept saying she needed to discuss something important with him about family matters. She came so often that Mike's boss had to tell her not to come there anymore. This made Mike's life at work very difficult. We're afraid this could affect the company's decision, and the likelihood of him being fired has only increased. All these problems with Linda are starting to affect James too. He's having trouble sleeping. He's having nightmares. Now he gets very upset when we leave him with a nanny. He cries and doesn't want us to go. We've also got new legal problems. Linda found out we're going to change our will. We want to make sure that if something happens to us, Linda won't be able to claim custody of James. When she found out, she was furious. She says she'll sue us if we try to change the will. She tells people we're stressed out and can't make sound decisions. Our lawyer says there's nothing Linda can do about it, but we're still really worried. Mike's dad is trying to help, but he's got his own problems. He's divorcing Linda, and things are going badly. Linda is making up all sorts of nonsense about him. She's also trying to take away most of the money he's been saving for his retirement. We want to help him, but we're almost out of money ourselves. That's how things are for us. Some things have gotten better, but it's still very difficult. Updated. Many people ask why we have financial problems if I said Mike's family is rich. Here's the answer. Mike's family is rich. That means his parents, not Mike himself. Update 3. It's been a year since the second update and 2 years since my first post. I think I finally remembered the password to this account, and it's been a year since I've written anything. So much has happened during that time. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support, both in the comments and in private messages. It's been a tough road, but we're still holding on. Here's what happened. Mike lost his job. The company laid off a lot of people, and he was among them. It was a huge blow for us. We had some savings, but given how much money we'd already spent on Linda's lawyers, it wasn't enough. I started picking up extra shifts at the hospital to help, but it was still hard. Linda, of course, saw this as a chance to squirm back into our lives. She started calling and texting Mike nonstop, offering money and assuring us she could help if we just let her back in. We ignored her at first, but she wouldn't stop. One day, she even showed up at our house with a check and tried to force her way in. Mike slammed the door in her face. I was proud of him for standing firm, but Linda didn't give in. She started telling everyone we were desperate and couldn't take care of James. She even called Child Protective Services and told them we couldn't afford to feed our son. They came to check on us. They quickly confirmed that James was fine. But for us, it was humiliating and scary. Mike's father tried to help us. He offered us money and we reluctantly accepted it. We desperately needed it, but we felt awkward taking it, knowing he was in dire straits himself. His divorce from Linda was turning into a nightmare. Linda wanted half of everything, including his retirement savings. She deliberately dragged out the court process, making it as expensive and painful as possible. Then it got worse. Linda somehow got hold of Mike's resume and started sending it to companies, pretending to be him. She even created fake email addresses in his name. Mike started getting calls with interview invitations he knew nothing about. It was a complete mess. We had to spend hours calling companies and explaining the situation. Some decided Mike was unreliable and blacklisted him. His job search became significantly more difficult. Mike's sister, Emma, was our rock throughout this time. She helped James and me, looked for jobs with Mike, and protected us from the rest of the family. But it was taking a toll on her too. She was constantly tired and stressed. We learned that she had started taking anxiety medication to cope. We are terribly sorry that our problems are affecting her so much. We thought things couldn't get any worse, but we were wrong. Linda started a smear campaign against us on social media. She created a Facebook page called Justice for Grandma. It has now been deleted, where she posted all sorts of lies about us. She wrote that we were allegedly abusive parents, that we were turning the child against her, that Mike was an alcoholic when he didn't drink, and that I was cheating on Mike with his boss. Mike doesn't even have a boss now. Some of Mike's relatives believed her. His aunt started leaving nasty comments under my posts, and his cousin attacked Mike, screaming at him in the grocery store, accusing him of betraying the family. We had to block a lot of people. It felt like we were losing all our support, but the worst was yet to come. One day, James's daycare called us and said Linda had shown up there and claimed she had the right to take James. Luckily, the staff were aware of the situation and didn't give her the child, but it scared the crap out of us. We had to urgently remove James from that daycare and find a new one, which turned out to be a real nightmare given our financial situation. After this incident, we decided we needed to take legal action. We sued Linda for a restraining order. The hearing was terrible. Linda played the role of the poor, broken grandmother to perfection. She cried and said she just wanted to see her grandson. But our lawyer presented all the evidence of her stalking and attempted kidnapping. The judge granted us the order. We thought that would be the end of it, but Linda became even more cunning. She brought in her minions, as she always did. Meanwhile, Mike still couldn't find a normal job. The fake resume Linda sent out seriously damaged his reputation. He only managed to get a part-time job at a local hardware store, but it's nowhere near enough to cover our expenses. I take extra for the hospital, but with all the legal fees, we're barely making ends meet. Last month, James became seriously ill. He developed a high fever and started vomiting. We had to take him to the emergency room. The whole time, I was terrified that Linda would somehow find out and show up at the hospital. Luckily, that didn't happen, but the fear itself was very real. And the medical bills are another financial blow we can barely bear. Mike's father's health has deteriorated sharply. The stress of the divorce and everything related to Linda has taken a toll on him. Last week, he had a minor heart attack. He's fine now, but it was a wake-up call for us. Mike feels like this is all his fault. I keep telling him it's not true, but I know how hard it is for him. We try to support Mike's father as best we can, but it's hard to help when we're barely keeping afloat ourselves. Emma lives with her father, helping him recover, but that means she spends less time with us and James, which makes things even harder. Linda, of course, uses Mike's father's health problems to portray herself as a victim. She writes on Facebook that she should be allowed to see her dying husband. He's not dying, and that we're cruel for not letting her see him. Some people believe her and send us mean messages. We've had to change our phone numbers again. Linda somehow always found a way to contact us, no matter how many times we blocked her. It's exhausting to constantly update contact information at work, at James's daycare, and with everyone we know. But for peace of mind, it has to be done. So we're still struggling, still suffering, but we're also learning to heal. Linda continues to cause problems, but we are coping better with them. We as a couple and as a family are stronger than ever. We are focusing on our little family, on recovery, on building a happy life no matter what. Update: Mike finally got a good job offer. It's not his field, but it is full-time and offers benefits, which would be a huge relief for us. He has an interview next week. We are trying not to get our hopes up, but it's really hard not to. This job could completely change our situation. Update 4. Wow. I am simply overwhelmed by the amount of support and kindness we have received since my last post. So many of you have written in the comments and private messages offering advice, sharing similar experiences, or simply sending words of encouragement. It truly means a lot to us. I read every message. Even if I couldn't reply to them all, Your support has been a light in our darkest times. Some people even offered financial assistance or job leads for Mike. We didn't accept any financial assistance, but your generosity has touched us deeply. Now, on to the update. It's only been a few weeks since the last update, and I wanted to share what's going on with our family. First, the good news. Mike got a job. It's not his previous field, but it's stable with good benefits. The pay is less than his old job, but it will be enough to keep us afloat. We're so happy to have a steady income again. Mike really enjoys his job, and that's wonderful. Unfortunately, Linda isn't giving up. She's become more secretive, but the attacks continue. We've learned that she's been sending anonymous letters to our neighbors, saying we're bad parents and need to be kept an eye on. Some neighbors have come by and told us about it, and most are already aware of the situation. But it's still upsetting to feel like we're being watched all the time. Mike's father is feeling better, but his divorce from Linda is still dragging on. Emma finally found a new job and moved out, but she comes over often and helps with James. We've also made some difficult decisions. We've decided to move to a new city about 3 hours away. I know we said we wouldn't do it before, but we never imagined things would get this far. And after Mike lost his job, it turned out not to be such a bad decision. Mike can just transfer. And I've already found an opening at a local hospital. It's scary to leave, but we feel like we need a fresh start away from Linda's influence. We're not telling anyone in Mike's family where we're going except Emma and his father. We've also filed for a permanent restraining order against Linda, which will also be in effect at the new address. I understand this may not seem like the most satisfying ending for some, but that's life. I likely won't be writing any more updates. And this one will be the final one. And to everyone who followed our story and sent us positive thoughts and words of support, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You helped us stay strong when it seemed we had no more strength. Edited. Many people ask if we stay in touch with Mike and Emma's father. Yes, we do. They are the only ones who know where we are moving, and we plan to visit us once we get settled. Mike's father is even talking about moving in with us when he retires, once the divorce is finally finalized. And Emma is planning to help us move in and get settled. We are incredibly grateful for their support. Well, that's all. Thank you for listening to the story to the end. For me, the situation turned out to be very difficult, and my mother-in-law, in my opinion, is one of the most difficult of those we've encountered in our stories. To ruin someone's life so systematically for so long, and to ruin it so successfully, it takes a lot of skill. Essentially, this mother-in-law wasn't taught a lesson. She went unpunished. Well, unless, of course, you count the divorce and separation from Mike, which are essentially punishments, but it still seems disproportionate to the actions she took. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Also, watch our previous videos, which you can see here, and be sure to subscribe to our channel to hear more stories like this.